Okay, welcome back to another video on the Maths channel. It's your teacher, Mr. Lim here. In this video, we're looking at time difference and local time. So this is part of the Working with Time unit from the Year 11 standard course. By the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to do these two things: find time differences between two places on Earth and solve practical problems. So, in lesson 4, we looked at how to find the time difference and local time of two cities by using a world map. This lesson, we're going to look at how to find them without a world map. So, this is how I like to teach it, using a timeline or a number line. So, if we were to construct a number line, where would we see minus 8 compared to positive 3? Well, minus 8 will lie to the left of 3. And so if we want to work out the difference, we always take the bigger number and minus the smaller number, so we can just use our calculator, right? So 3 minus 8 is 11. So that tells us that there's an 11-hour time difference between these two time zones. Question B, which one will lie to the left? Well, minus 9 lies to the left of minus 2. So get my calculator out. The bigger number minus the smaller one. So minus 2 minus 9 is 7. So there's a 7-hour difference. Pause the video, have a go with C and D. Right, C, we've got plus 3 here and plus 10. 10 minus 3 is 7, so this one is also 7 hours. And question D, minus 4 lies to the left of positive 6. 6 minus 4 is 10, so this has a 10-hour difference between these two time zones. So, how would you summarize the steps involved in determining the time difference of two time zones? I'll get you to pause the video. Why don't you just write down what you should do? So, first step is draw a number line. Label it with the numbers in the correct places. And the last step, to work out the time difference, I'll just write time difference is equal to right number minus left number. Okay, the big one minus the small one. Alright, here's some examples. Patrick is working in Seoul in Korea. That's universal time coordinated of plus 9. And needs to travel to Chicago, which is UTC minus 6. What is the time difference between these places? So question A, you can draw it up. Minus 6 lies to the left of positive 9. That's Chicago, that's Seoul. Whoops, Seoul is S. And so if we want to work at the time difference, 9 minus 6 is 15. So there's a 15-hour difference. Question B. What is the local time in Chicago if it is 5 p.m. in Seoul? So 5 p.m. in Seoul, so I'm going to write my 5 p.m. over here. Oh, I might just put B. Well, if there's a 15-hour difference, I'm just going to get my calculator out. And I'm going to type in 5 p.m. Because it's p.m., I'm going to write it in 24-hour notation. So that's 17 hours, 1700 hours. And we're going to minus the 15 hours. This is 15-hour difference to give us 2 o'clock. And that's a.m. because this is 24-hour time. So that will be 2 a.m. the same day. Question C. A flight leaves Seoul at 5 p.m. and flies non-stop to Chicago. The flight takes 14 hours. What is the time when in Chicago when a flight arrives? So question C. Leaves Seoul at 5 p.m. Okay, flies non-stop to Chicago. That means it's actually 2 a.m. in Chicago when the plane leaves Seoul. Now, because it takes 14 hours, we're just going to add 14 hours to this. So, get my calculator out. 2 a.m. is represented by 2 degrees or 2 hours. And then we're going to add our 14 hours to give us 16 o'clock, which is 4 p.m. So the answer here is 4 p.m. Okay. Moana is planning a trip from Suva in Fiji, which is UTC plus 12, to Miami in Florida, UTC minus 5. What is the time difference between these cities? So, number line, minus 5 plus 12. Minus 5 is Miami, and plus 12 is Suva. Time difference, 12 minus 5 is 12 plus 5. That's 17 hours difference. Alright, question B. I might actually write this is question A. Question B. What is the time and day in Miami if it is 10:10 a.m. on Wednesday, 6th of January in Suva? So it's 10:10 a.m. Wednesday, 6th of January. What's the time and day in Miami? So, can I get my calculator out? 10:10 is 10 hours and 10 minutes. We are going to minus because Miami is 17 hours behind Suva. So I'm going to minus 17 hours, so that's represented as 17 degrees, like that. So we've got 10 hours, 10 minutes minus 17 hours is equal to, oh, when we get a negative answer, all we need to do is add 24 to it. So I'm going to add 24 hours. That's going to tell me that the time will be 5:10 p.m. Okay, because that's 24-hour time. So it'll be 5:10 p.m. the previous day. Now the previous day will be Tuesday, the 5th of January. Alright, and question C. I might just box that so that we know that's the answer. Alright, question C. Moana boards a plane at 2:30 p.m. on 7th of April, Suva time. So 2:30 p.m. 7th of April. And the flight lasts 16 hours. What is the local time and date in Miami when she arrives? So she leaves Suva at 2:30 p.m. What time is that actually in Miami? Well, we're going to minus 17 hours. So 2:30 p.m. we know is 14 hours and 13 minutes. I'm going to minus the 17 hours. Oh, that's a negative answer, so I'm going to add 24 hours to that. Alright, 21:30, that tells me that's 9:30 p.m. So that's 9:30 p.m. The previous day, the 6th of the 4th. Now that's the time that the plane actually leaves Suva. That's just Miami time. So now all I need to do is I need to add 16 hours because the flight lasts 16 hours, so we can see what time they arrive, or the flight arrives. So I'm going to add 16 hours to this. So we've got 9:30 p.m. plus 16 hours is 37 hours, 30 minutes. That's more than 24 hours. I'm just going to minus 24 hours here. That tells me that's 1:30 p.m. 1:30 p.m. the next day, 7th of the 4th. So you might find this pretty interesting, right? Leaves Suva at 2:30 p.m. on the 7th of April. Arrives an hour earlier in Miami, same day. Okay, that's because Moana is traveling back in time. Alright. Question 1. Lucas lives in Strasbourg and his sister Kayla lives in Vancouver. Calculate the time difference between Strasbourg UTC plus 1 and Vancouver UTC minus 8. And what is the time in Strasbourg if it is 3 p.m. on a Monday afternoon in Vancouver? Why don't you pause the video and have a go with these two questions. Alright, question A. We've got -8 lies to the left of +1. +1 is Strasbourg, -8 is Vancouver. 1 minus -8 is 9 hours. So that's the answer. 9 hours is the time difference. B. What is the time in Strasbourg? Maybe I'll do B down here underneath it because I like doing that. What is the time in Strasbourg? It was 3 p.m. on a Monday afternoon in Vancouver. So, because it's 9 hours difference, Strasbourg is 9 hours ahead of Vancouver. So I need to add 9 to this 3 p.m., which is pretty simple. I think we can do that in our heads. That's 12 midnight, which is 12 a.m. on a Tuesday. Alright, I hope you're going well with this. Question 9. Na calls a friend in Beijing from Los Angeles. Beijing is 8 hours ahead of UTC. Los Angeles is 8 hours behind UTC. It's 8:15 p.m. in Los Angeles and they talk for 30 minutes. What is the time in Beijing at the end of the phone call? Make sure you read the question carefully. Have a go with this one. Alright, so let's have a look. Beijing is 8 hours ahead. Los Angeles is 8 hours behind. So, time difference is 16 hours. Okay, 8 minus 8, 16 hours. It is 8:15 p.m. in Los Angeles. They talk for 30 minutes. What is the time in Beijing that the phone call ends? So, I'm going to get my calculator out. I'm going to put this in 24-hour time. Okay, so that becomes 20 hours, 15 minutes. I'm going to add my 16 hours. Oh, that's more than 24 hours. I'm going to minus 24 from that. Okay, so that's 12:15 p.m. 12:15 p.m. is when they start the phone call. Because they talk for 30 minutes, it'll be 12:45 p.m. Okay, and it'll be the next day. Okay, 12:45 p.m. the next day. I might just add that in. Right, 11. Andrew's planning a trip to Townsville, UTC plus 9.5, to Hong Kong, from Townsville to Hong Kong, UTC plus 8. What is the time and day in Hong Kong if it is 7:30 a.m. on 5th of June in Townsville? And question B, what time and day is it in Hong Kong when the flight arrives? Okay, pause the video, have a go. Right, so here are my answers. Question A, it'll be 6 a.m. on the 5th of June in Hong Kong. And question B, what time and day? It'll be 1 p.m. on the 5th of June as well. Day doesn't change. Alright, HSC questions. 2019, question 5. The coordinated universal time UTC of Auckland is plus 12 hours and the UTC of Chicago is minus 5 hours. When the time in Chicago is 2 p.m. Thursday, what is the time in Auckland? And 2018, question 29A, the time in Brisbane is 4.5 hours ahead of the time in New Delhi. Have a go with these two questions. Just pause the video and then we can check out answers. Okay, so question 5 is 2 p.m. in Chicago Thursday. What time is it in Auckland? Well, because this is 2 p.m., we want to write this in 24-hour time. So that's 14 hours. I'm going to add 17 hours. That's more than 24, so I'm going to minus 24. And that tells me that the time will be 7 a.m. 7 a.m. the next day, because we're moving forward, right? So we're crossing midnight to 7 a.m. on Friday. the answer is D. Question 29A of the 2018 paper. So, John flew from New Delhi to Brisbane via Singapore. His plane left New Delhi at 11:30 a.m. New Delhi time, stopped for 3 hours in Singapore, arrived at Brisbane at 9 a.m. the following day, Brisbane time. What was the plane's total flying time? So because Brisbane is 4.5 hours ahead of New Delhi, I'm just going to take that 11:30 and turn it into 11 hours and 30 minutes. I'm going to add 4 hours and 30 minutes because it's 4.5 hours ahead. Until that tells me it's 4 p.m. Okay, 4 p.m. when the plane left New Delhi. Okay, 4 p.m. Brisbane time. Now, because it arrived in Brisbane at 9 a.m. the next day, I can now work out the difference between these two. Okay, now if they're both the same unit, so as in that both PM or they're both AM, then we can just minus, the arrival time minus the departure time. But if they're different, then we can just change this one to 24-hour time. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to make this one become 4 a.m. and 9 p.m., which I can do. Okay, because it's going to be the same difference. I'm just adding 12 hours to both. And so now I can just do 21 because 9 p.m. is 2100 hours, and 21 minus 4 is 17 hours. So 21 minus 4 is 17 hours for the entire trip. So trip was 17 hours, but because it stopped for 3 hours in Singapore, the total flying time is 17 minus 3, which is 14 hours. All right, let's keep going. Melbourne is located at 38 degrees south, 145 degrees east. And Dubai is located at 24 degrees north, 55 degrees east. Calculate the difference in longitude between Melbourne and Dubai. So part 1. Longitude, remember, lat is flat. So lat is flat. Therefore, longitude has to be vertical. Now, lat, we know that horizontal is the x-axis, longitude is the y-axis, so we are looking at these numbers only. So the difference in longitude, if you want to think about it, yeah, we can do a number line as well. 145 degrees east, 55 degrees east. Okay, so we can just minus those two numbers. That's 90 degrees. Okay, so there's a difference of 90 degrees. I'll just box that. Alright, part 2. Show that the time difference between Melbourne and Dubai is actually 6 hours. So, we know that that's 90 degrees out of 360. But there are 24 hours in a day, so I'm going to multiply that by 24. And that will tell me how many hours difference that is. So 90 out of 360 times 24 is 6, and that's 6 hours. Done. Part 3. The plane leaves Melbourne on Friday at 11:30 p.m. The flight time to Dubai is 15 hours. So, if I were to draw this out, can you see here, Dubai is 55 degrees east, which is, so if we have a look at this, right, you can see that Dubai lies on the left, Melbourne on the right. So I'm just going to write Dubai here, Melbourne here. We know that there's a 6-hour difference. We calculated that in part 2. Plane leaves Melbourne, Friday, 11:30 p.m. Flight time to Dubai is 15 hours. What will be the time and day in Dubai when the plane is due to land? So we're going to calculate the Dubai time when the plane left. So I'm just going to minus the 6 hours. So this is PM. Let's turn it into 24-hour time. 23 hours and 30 minutes. And minus our 6 hours. 5:30 PM. 5:30 PM. Still the same day. Still Friday. Alright, so that's when it left. Now, because it was a 15-hour flight, we're going to add 15 hours to this. So I'm going to add 15 hours. That's more than 24 hours. I'm going to minus 24. 8:30 in the morning. 8:30 AM the day after, right? Because we're starting 5:30 PM. We're crossing past midnight into Saturday, 8:30 AM. And that's our answer. Box that. Alright, 15. Stockholm is located at 59 degrees north, 18 degrees east, and Darwin is located at 13 degrees south, 131 degrees east. What is the time difference between Stockholm and Darwin? Ignore the time zones and daylight savings. So, time difference is always to do with longitude. So we're always going to be looking at this one. Okay, these numbers, longitude. So, time difference. We know that we've got 18 degrees east and we've got 131 degrees east. So we can just minus those two numbers. Okay, if that was west, we need to add them. Okay, so that's 113 degrees. Alright, so the time difference is 113 out of 360 because there are 360 degrees in a circle. We're going to times it by 24 because there are 24 hours in a day. And let's see what we get. 113 over 360 times 24. 7.53 repeater. Let's turn that into hours and minutes. That's 7 hours and 32 minutes. 7 hours, 32 minutes. Okay, so we just press this degrees, minutes, seconds button, or the bubble button as I would like to call it. And so now we can see that all of these answers are in minutes. So we know there's 60 hours in minutes. I'm just going to do 7 times 60 plus my 32. 452. Let's see. Alright, next one, Singapore. Why don't you pause the video, have a go with both of these. Alright, Singapore is located 1 degree north, 104 east. Sydney, 34 degrees south, 151 east. What is the time difference? Time difference, looking at just the longitude. So, 104 lies to the left of 151 because they're both east. So 151 minus 104, that should be 47 degrees. So time difference, 47 out of 360, and times that by 24 hours. 47 over 360. 3 hours, 8 minutes. 3 hours, 8 minutes. Alright, next one. Local time in Perth. UTC +8. Santiago. UTC -3. Time difference, 8 minus -3 is 11. Okay. What is the time, what is the day and time in Santiago when it's 8 AM? Friday in Perth. So 8 AM is just 8 hours. Okay, always use 24-hour time. I'm going to minus 11 hours. Oh, that's negative. So I'm going to add 24 hours to that. 21 o'clock or 9 PM. It'll be 9 PM the previous day because we're going back in time. We're going back past midnight. So it'll be 9 PM on Thursday. And that's the answer. Alright. we still have more. Pause the video. Have a go with these two questions. So 27E and question 3. Alright, part 1. Alright, Karen's in Athens plus 2 minus 5. So I'll just do Karen in Athens. Got Marco in New York. Alright, so time difference is 7 hours. Okay, 2 minus 5 is 2 plus 5. Karen's going to ring Marco at 10 p.m. on Tuesday, Athens time. 10 p.m. Tuesday. Alright. What day and time will it be in New York when she rings? So I'm going to take my 10 p.m., which is 22 hours. 22 hours. I'm going to minus our 7 hours. Okay, that's 15. That tells me that's 3 p.m. on the same day. Okay, we just went backwards, so still Tuesday. Done. Part 2. Marco is going to fly from New York to Athens. His flight will leave on Wednesday at 9 a.m. New York time. 9 a.m. Wednesday. And will take 11 hours. So, what day and time will it be in Athens when he arrives? I'm going to add 7, okay, to work out the time. So 9 a.m. is 9 hours. Add 7 hours. That's 16, so that's 4 p.m. on the same day. 4 p.m. Wednesday is the time in Athens when the flight leaves. Now, because the flight takes 11 hours, I'm going to add 11 to that to work out how long or what time it will arrive. So I'm going to add 11 hours. Oh, that's more than 24. So I'm going to minus 24. Oh, that's 3 a.m. 3 a.m. the next day, Thursday. Right? Because we're going forward 7 hours. Alright, question 3. The time zone used in Perth in Western Australia is UTC plus 8. The time zone used in Cape Town in South Africa is UTC plus 2. What is the time in Cape Town when it's 1 p.m. in Perth? So we've got plus 2, which is Cape Town. We've got plus 8, which is Perth. So time difference, that's 6 hours. What is the time in Cape Town when it's 1 p.m. in Perth? 1 p.m. Put that in 24-hour time, that's 13 o'clock or 13 hours. I'm now going to minus my 6 hours. To give me 7 a.m. B. Right, 2009, 26B. Why don't you pause the video, have a go with these 3. Alright, question 1. Show that there is a 16-hour time difference between the two cities. So time difference, we're always looking at longitude. Alright, so we've got 105 degrees west is on the left because it's west. And here we've got east. So we can see here that if we put 0 here, we actually need to add those two numbers. If you want to, you can think about it. You can think about the west as minus 105 degrees east. And then you can just do your 135 minus 105. Okay, so that's 240. 240 degrees difference. So 240, add the 360 in a circle because the Earth is round, times that by 24 because there's 24 hours in a day, tells us that there is a 16-hour difference between the two cities. Right, part 2. John lives in Denver. Now we said Denver is this one here. Okay, and Osaka is this one. And wants to ring a friend in Osaka. In Denver, it is 9 p.m. on Monday. What time and day is it in Osaka then? So because we know that it's a 16-hour difference, I'm just going to write that there. So we've got 9 p.m. That in 24-hour time is 21 o'clock or 2100 hours. 21 hours plus the 16 hours difference. That's more than 24 hours. So I'm going to minus 24 hours from that. That's 13 o'clock or 1 p.m. the next day. Box that so the marker knows what your answer is. Part 3. John's friend in Osaka sent him a text message which happened to take 14 hours to reach him. It was sent at 10 a.m. on Thursday, Osaka time. So 10 a.m. Thursday, Osaka time. What time is that actually in Denver? So I'll just take my 10. I'm going to minus that 16-hour time difference. That's negative. So I'm going to add my 24 hours. Oh, that's 6 p.m. the day before. 6 p.m. the day before because we're going back in time. So it will be Wednesday, 6 p.m. Now, that's when the message was sent. It was delayed by 14 hours. We need to add 14 hours to that. So I'm going to add 14 hours. Oh, that's more than 24. So that tells me we're going to the next day. So I'm going to minus 24 hours to be 8 a.m. the next day, which is Thursday. So I'm going to box that, and that's my answer. Alright, any more questions? We do. We still have questions. How many more? Last 3. Okay, last 3. Pause the video. Have a go with these ones. Have a go with these two. Alright, question 20 of the 2007 paper. Kim lives in Perth. He wants to watch an ice hockey game being played in Toronto starting at 10 p.m. on Wednesday. What is the time in Perth when the game starts? So, Toronto, we can see it is 80 degrees west. Toronto, Perth is 115 degrees east, right? 115 degrees east. And so now we can see that's 115 plus 80. We're not going to minus because actually it's 115 to 0 and then another 80 to 80 degrees west. So that's 195 degrees difference. 195 out of 360 times 24 is how many hours difference? $13 hours difference. Okay, 13 hours. So, the game starts at 10 p.m. on Wednesday in Toronto. We want to know what time in Perth the game starts. So 10 p.m. Put that in 24 hours time. That's 22 o'clock. I'm going to add my 13 hours. 13 hours. Oh, that's more than 24 hours. I'm going to minus 24. And that tells me that's 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Now we're going forward a day. Okay, I'm passing midnight into the morning. So that's going to be Thursday, 11 a.m. And that's D. Right, 2060. What was the total flying time? So, London and Manila. So we got London. Oops. London, which is 0 degrees east. Manila, which is 120 degrees east. So that's a 120 degree difference. What is that in hours? Divide by 360 and times that by 24. That's going to equal to 8. So that's 8 hours. Now, a plane left London at 9:30 a.m. Monday. Stopped for 5 hours in Singapore and arrived in Manila 4 p.m. Okay, so what time was it in Manila when the plane left? So I'm going to add 8 hours to this 9:30. So I've got 9:30. Add my 8 hours. That's 5:30 p.m. It's still Monday. Okay, that's the time it was in Manila when the plane left London. Now, arrived in Manila 4 p.m. Tuesday, Manila time. Okay. So, how long was the trip? Okay, I'm going to take my 4 p.m. minus my 5:30 p.m. Because they're both p.m., I don't need to convert anything into 24-hour time. So I'm just going to do 4 minus 5:30. Oh, that's negative. So I'm going to add 24 hours to that. It took 22 hours and 30 minutes. 22 hours and 13 minutes. Now, is that the total flying time? Well, because they stopped for 5 hours in Singapore, total flying time, we're just going to minus the 5 hours, 17 hours, 30 minutes. Okay, 22, that's 5 hours, 17 hours, 30 minutes. All right. 4 marks. All right. Last one. The location of town A is 25 degrees north, 45 degrees east. The location of town B is 10 degrees north, 105 degrees east. Which of the following is true in your time zones? All right. Because we're talking about time difference, we need to look at longitude only. So we got 45 degrees east and 105 degrees east. So because they're both east, we can just minus them. 105 minus 45, 60 degrees. 60 degrees difference. Well, how many hours is that? 60 out of 360 times 24. That's 1/6 of 24. That's 4 hours. All right. So we know there's a 4-hour difference. So it's not C or D. Town A is at 45. So that's town A. Town B is at the 105. So town A is 4 hours behind town B. So the answer is A. Alright, that's it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a like. Would really appreciate it if you subscribe as well. And I'll see you in the next video. See you.